Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. It's GT Cup Open time. We are here for round 5 at Barcelona and race 1 of what would be 2 races this weekend. Our first one, 50 minutes, with a driver change window between the 21st to the 29th minute of racing action halfway through. And we are here at the circuit of Barcelona, Catalonia here, 4.675 kilometers. And we're just outside Montemelo. There is the Catalonia circuit. Wonderful pan pictures here. It's a warm day. Temperatures of 28 degrees here, of course, but it wasn't the case always. We had fog this morning that led to quite a delay, but we are back on time and we're here to bring you all the action. As you can see, Alex Fontana starting on pole position after a wonderful qualifying that would land the Swiss driver on top spot ahead of Juan Font, who is in second. My name is, of course, George Morgan, bringing you the action here today in the circuit of Barcelona, Catalonia. Joining me in the commentary box is the accomplished, the esteemed Ian Silvestrin. Ian, how are you?
Very well, even better after that very kind welcome, George. As we look at a couple of drivers at the front end of the grid, one of them being the championship leader, Jan Lauritsen, who we'll see in a moment. In fact, there is car 54, the Belgian, in the centre left of your screen. P3 on the grid, but P1 in the championship in this, the championship final, the first of 2 races here this weekend. Here is Jan, the Belgian, for the Q1 track racing team in force this weekend for the final round of the series. Bashar Mardani joins us also for the final round. The adopted Canadian driver in car 67. The field dominated by the manufacturer from Stuttgart. You know I am referring to the Porsches. And here is another one. This is Lucas Valkret. Starts out of 5 in car 53, just ahead of Nicolas van Dierendonck. Also, of course, for Q1 track racing, after the Bell Car Series wraps up at Zolder just a couple of weeks ago. The drivers from the Bell Car Series have arrived in force for the final round. This is Nicolas van Dierendonck. Klaar voor de volgende race, Nicolas van Dierendonck. And here is the Italian attack, Stefano Zanini in car 44. SP Racing, good running qualifying for the Italians. Will start out of position 7 in car 44. And John de Vilde, not the best run, we can say, for John. Another Belgian out of grid 8, who had a storming drive at Monza 2 weeks ago. Monza, and we raced in the rain, the penultimate round of the championship. John de Vilde had a stunning run. He was in aggressive form, but Jan Lauritsen was the driver to beat. Unfortunately, the Romanian combination of Tincescu and Petty, and they were out with his big crash at the exit of Lesmo 2 in race 1 on a very wet Saturday afternoon. Jan Lauritsen with one hand on the championship after the first race. It did dry just for race 2 on Sunday. The Sol Lamborghini Super Trofeo, they were in great form. Jan Lauritsen says he did not care and simply went around the outside of the Cypriot combination and took another victory. Almost we could start engraving his name on the 2002 GT Cup Championship trophy. So as we come into the final round here in Barcelona, Jan Lauritsen with 105 points ahead of Dirk Schouten and Lucas Valkyrie second on 85. John de Vilde and Stefano Zanini, Eugenio Pisani, 64 points, and then 49 points for the Italians, just a position behind. Still fighting for the championship. Well, thankfully, the weather, as you can see on your screen, is much better than it was 2 weeks ago in Italy. As we take a look at the grid, Alex Fontana on his return, the Swiss driver, on pole position alongside the Spaniard here in Spain. Juan Font, the championship leader, Jan Lauritsen, is alongside Bashar Mardini on the second row of the grid. And then we go to Lucas Valkret in car 53 out of grid 5, and Nicolas van Dierendonck also in a Porsche on the third row of the grid. Stefano Zanini and John de Vilde out of 7 and 8. The manufacturer from Stuttgart dominating the grid in the final round of GT Cup. Laurent van der Velde and Florin Tincescu. Great to see the Romanian GT champions back on track after a long trip back to Bucharest after Monza. Julian Darras in the Aston ahead of the series debutant Milan Delat. Anthony Chodson, a lot of interest for the Polish driver in the Supra, and Fabio Fabiani and Bernd Scheibel, the gentleman driver out of grid 15 in car 88 for Ost Motorsport. Let's hear from the pole sitter, Alex Fontana.
Alex Fontana, back to the GT Cup and on pole position. You must be happy.
Yeah, really happy. It was really good fun to drive these cars, and GDL Racing really knows how to prepare these Porsche Cups. So it was nice to be back after our first outing in Spa. This time around, my teammate Stefano Borghi couldn't make it on a very short notice, but I'm glad that we managed to be here.
And this afternoon you'll go for victory.
Well, we try. I mean, we are at the front, so we try to do our best. I have a few seconds penalty in the pit, but we try to make up for it. I mean, there are many good drivers in this series, many young talents that are trying to develop themselves. So I'm sure in the second stint, some of them will join as well, and it's going to be fun, hopefully.
Well done for now. All the best.
Alex Fontana driving the race solo after, as you heard, Stefano Borghi could not make it here. Stuck over there in the Middle East. Un grande saluto a Stefano. Sta guardando la gara a Dubai. Watching the race in Dubai, Stefano Borghi and Alex Fontana on pole position. He's doing all right for the moment. He'll start out of grid 1. He'll have to do the race solo. A 50-minute race, the penultimate race of the GT Cup Championship here this afternoon. What a tremendous sight this is here in Barcelona. The penultimate race of the 2022 GT Cup Championship, a 50-minute sprint. The pit window to open in 21 minutes time. There is Bernd Scheibel sharing the car with the 2012 Bathurst 12-hour winner, Christa Jons, the German combination, on the grid 15. So the safety car about to pull into pit lane. Alex Fontana and Juame Font. What a tremendous sight this is. Welcome to Barcelona for the penultimate race of the 2022 GT Cup Europe Championship.
Yeah, they make their way around the final corner now. Fontana is going to be the one to push the button. Now we see the safety car coming into the pit lane. We await the lights to go green. Will they do so? Very surely they will. It's pedal to the metal. And it is go. Alex Fontana already getting off well. Juame Font also looking very quick too. Jan Larijsen also throwing himself into the mix as well, with Bashar Mardini on the outside as well as they come down in towards turn 1. There you can see them now side by side. Fontana holds on. A little bit of contact as they make their way through. Cars streaming off the circuit. We've got a Spinana further down as well. Not quite sure which one that was as they now peel through the first sector. Another car taking the escape road as well as we now see them make their way around Renault. They've now got the Repsol corner to
Mardini.
take. And that is Bashar Mardini. Bashar Mardini, who is supposed to be subbing as well alongside of Christopher Zirkling as he now round the next right-hander, but still Fontana leads. Larijsen got a great jump, has moved himself up into second. Juame Font down into third.
Mardini from grid 3 parked in the gravel on the opening corner of the race as another of the Porsches goes around. It's Zanini. Thankfully not collected by anybody. Started out of grid 5 and the Italian is now back into second last position. Waiting for word from race control. Bashar Mardini qualifying grid 3 this morning with a stunning run in qualifying. There is the Supra GT4 spec car going through just ahead of the Cayman. Porsche also a GT4 spec car, and inevitably the safety car is deployed out onto the circuit as Bashar Mardini in the gravel in the opening corners of the penultimate race of the 2022 GT Cup Europe Championship. We'll try and get a replay in just a moment of what exactly has happened. Stefano Zanini has rejoined. Thankfully, he was not collected by anybody. Wow, what a start to the penultimate race of 2022.
Yeah, big start indeed. Fontana got away well. He's now 1.3 seconds clear of Jan Larijsen. Of course, Larijsen going for the championship. He's come into this weekend 105 points. In second place, obviously, you've got Dirk Schouten and Lucas Valker on 85. Here's the replay of the start. And it was quite a mishmash heading on through. Of course, Juame Font looked to have a great launch, arguably better than Alex Fontana. But on the outside as well, you had certainly the likes of Bashar Mardini, who ended up being forced off in through towards turn 1. Plenty of cars having to take the escape in the gravel trap. But unfortunately, Bashar Mardini was the one who was essentially spun at that point. There you can see him just off to the right-hand side, beached into the gravel trap. And unfortunately, That's pretty much stricken him in the off section of this circuit. But nevertheless, Alex Fontana getting the launch of his life, and there, of course, was the moment for Stefano Zanini where he would spin, heading around Seat Curve. Of course, very, very easy to unsettle the car through that portion of the track as Dirk Schutten now looks on. Safety car is now out on track as they now rescue the car of Bashar Mardini with the JCB. And Mardini looks like he stood in the car.
Well, thankfully, the car did not hit the wall, so he will rejoin. But it's not a good start for the driver who qualified Grid 3 this morning. There is Stefano Zanini, who has also stalled. Car 44, a sensational start. We did not expect that. No problem for the pole sitter, Alex Fontana, who has got the lead over, guess who? The championship leader, Jan Lauritsen.
Yeah, you do have to wonder whether one big result here could yet crown Jan Lauritsen champion here at this point as well. Obviously, the points gap, as things stand, sits at around 30 points. Looking at it on paper right now, Dirk Schutten on 85, 105 for Jan Lauritsen. So as things stand, in fact, it might be a little bit less than that. It's actually 20 points, the gap right now. Do apologise, folks. So it depends really at this point. By the looks of it on paper, it could end up going to race 2. But obviously, we've got a lot of circumstances to get through first. Lucas Valkra in 4th. Obviously, he'll be replaced by Dirk Schutten when the driver change window opens up in just under 17 minutes' time. But the safety car now taking the cars around the circuit on this occasion. Fontana still out in front after getting a great launch over just under a second ahead of Jan Lauritsen, with Wame Font in 3rd, Valkra in 4th. John de Wilde, who's got a very advanced lead in his championship battle in terms of the AM territory, making his way through.
Stefano Zanini in the background. It looks as though he's about to get back underway.
Yeah, absolutely right. Looking at the AM contingent of things right now, John de Wilde, 65 points, with Glauco Salieri on 32. So as things are currently stood out on track, John de Wilde is your AM classification champion. So great news for John de Wilde. He can celebrate that one. So great results certainly for him, but he is certainly tussled with the best of them up in the Pro-Am category as well. Safety car still out on track. They will go again under yet full course yellow flags, under the safety car ruling around again. And very soon we'll hear from race control as to when they get back underway. But Fontana, no question, still out in front as they keep the tyres warm to maintain the grip levels. Wame Font just watching pensively in behind with Lucas Valkra on his rear wing as well. John de Wilde in the mix. Julian Darris as well in the mix. Nice to see that Aston Martin back in action as well, in amongst the sea of Porsches that we have here in this championship. But plenty more to look forward to, that's for sure. Bernard Schreibel as well in the Aus Motorsport Audi. Great to see them as well. Obviously, Aus Motorsport fielding a car not only in this championship, but also in the GTOpen as well. And the safety car's coming in here.
A very good start by Julian Darris. We've only gone green for a few hundred metres. Yes, the R35 will pull into pit lane at the end of this lap. And you saw the second representative of a Japanese manufacturer. There is the red and white Supra back with us. It's a GT4 spec car. A lot of interest around this machine. Disregarding the R35 safety car, which I know I've spoken about many a time. Can we call that the greatest supercar to ever come out of Japan?
If you say so, Ian. I'll let you say so. You can make the call. You can make the call.
If we conveniently disregard the R32, but nevertheless, I do digress. But Anthony Chodson, the Polish driver in car 50 in the Supra, that's a GT4 spec car. He's in position 8 as the safety car pulls into pit lane at the end of this lap. So the order is Fontana, Lauritsen in 2nd place, Wame Font, and John de Wilde. He did this at Monza, a super start from John. M-Class champion, we're going to call, but looking for an outright result. He ran P2 for much of Monza, actually led a lot of the race in the rain. He's already up to P5 after just a few corners as the safety car pulls into pit lane at the end of this lap, and the Swiss driver, Alex Fontana, will lead the field away. There is the Supra, car 50, a GT4 spec car, racing against the GT3s, many of which, the majority of which, are from Porsche.
Yeah, they're all rounding now the Bank Sabadell corner. Safety car coming in this lap. There is Bashar Mardini, who has just caught up with the others as well, so great news for him. He can get back in the mix on this occasion, heading down through towards the RACC chicane. and Fontana will be getting them back underway. Larison as well. It'll all be down now to the safety car that is Alex Fontana, but he's put his foot down already. As now, once again, we hit pedal to the metal for the second time in this race now. Jan Larison getting off as well into second place. Further back as well, Juan Font. Valkra in fourth with John de Wilder, who has got Julian Darris not far behind. Lauren van der Velde also trying to get into the mix as well, as now watching the cars make their way through. You can just see now Van der Velde getting ahead of Julian Darris and managing to hold on to it as well. John de Wilder has also held on to fifth spot as well, with Anthony Chodson up into 8th. Florentin Sescu as well in 9th, with Milan Delat in P10. Nicholas van Dierendonk holding on to 11th place, 6/10 of a second in behind Milan Delat, but Delat very, very close and personal behind Florentin Sescu right now.
Great start from Milan Delat, coming out of the Formula 4 Championships over in Great Britain. He's stuck in there behind Nicholas van Dierendonk, head of Schalbert. Good start from him. As we see the 56 Porsche defensively, he was trying to attack, that's John de Wilde, trying to attack Lucas Valkyrie just a few moments ago, but himself is under attack from Laurent van der Velde. Good start from Julian Darris, the young French driver, in the Aston Martin 007 as the shadows get very long here in Barcelona. And we are back racing green after the safety car pulls into pit lane. John de Wilde down the inside, trying to make the move, did go through, went very, very deep, passing Lucas Valkra, but went in too far deep on the outside, and Lucas Valkra got him on the exit. John de Wilde eventually got the job done. As you look at the championship leader, Jan Larison, one hand on the 2022 GT Cup Championship trophy here this afternoon. But the Swiss star, Alex Fontana, has been superb from the outset, from the opening practice here in Barcelona. Took pole position this morning, and he leads as they come across the line to start lap 4. The gap, 1.4 seconds. It will be greater than that in just a moment, because Alex has just done 2 purple sectors, a 150.4 versus a 150.9. He puts half a second between himself and the championship leader, Jan Larison. He comes racing down into turn 1 in second place. There's Juan Font. John de Wilde up into P4. Great start from John from the 4th row of the grid. Valkyrie, van der Velde, Tincescu, the Romanians are back. There is Chodson under attack from Milan Delat, and the Porsche Cayman GT4 car goes by the Supra. Nicely done by Milan Delat.
Yeah, great move indeed from Milan Delat, getting ahead there of Anthony Chodson, who's now down into P11. We also saw some moves further down as well. Florentin Sescu getting ahead of Julian Darris. Nicholas van Dierendonk followed him through as well, so up into 7th again, but in comes Anthony Chodson again, looking to try and challenge Milan Delat as well. Milan Delat 10th fast, he's currently sat in 10th. Chodson coming straight back at him and has done certainly a wonderful job to pull that off as well. The car number 50 now back up into 10th place after losing it. Milan Delat now under pressure from what looked to be the Porsche in behind as well. Incredible moment in this race as they now head down now, ducking deep in towards the Wirth curve, as we're now seeing car number 67, Bashar Mardini, springing back to life after that little incident at the start of the race, getting himself ahead of Milan Delat and just tucking himself behind Anthony Chodson.
Yes, he is a lap down though, and of course driving a GT3 spec car, this will be fait accompli. And as he drives down the inside, takes the Supra, but he's still a lap behind the Japanese car. Anthony Chodson on debut in the GT Cup Championship, the 25-year-old pole, former winner of the Dubai 24-hour race, driving a Maserati of all things, almost half a decade ago now. There's Milan Delat, as we said in our introduction, out of Formula Ford, out of Britain, in the Cayman car, as we go back to the race leader, Alex Fontana. So we have to ask the question, what would have been for Bashar Mardini? He is down in 14th place. He just goes by those 2 GT4 spec cars, but he is a lap down. He'll have another crack at an outright victory tomorrow afternoon as we pick up the championship leader, Jan Larison.
Yeah, absolutely right. Alex Fontana sealing the fastest lap as well of this race. Bashar Mardini already putting a little bit of clean air in between him and the cars behind. He's looking to try and unlap himself. Further back, Milan Delat and Anthony Chodson again coming together, but Anthony Chodson doing a wonderful job of holding him back. Milan Delat peppering the rear end of that car indeed. The Toyota Supra getting a very stern look there from that Porsche Cayman as they head now in towards the next right. There's Florentin Sescu, currently sat in 7th place with Nicholas van Dierendonk just in behind as well. And looking to try and gain here. As another look down the inside, heading in towards the seat curve, late on the brakes, superbly executed there, certainly by Nicholas van Dierendonk. and just sprung a surprise. They're getting very close, though, to the front of Florent Tincescu's car. That's 7th place now for Nicolas van Dierendonck. Very well executed, heading up through now the Verth curves, and he'll undertake now the campus corner, the very fast-paced right-hander. They will have to lift off slightly, but here's a replay of that particular moment. Left it late on the brakes. God, he'd mastered, he'd done the overtake pretty much near enough before the corner. Wonderful move.
Good start to the weekend from Florent Tincescu after a forgettable run in Monza. And for regular viewers, we have to ask, do you think the front left of that Porsche is still against the Armco on the exit of Lesmo 2? George, it may still be there.
It might still be. I mean, he was there right through the afternoon, so who knows? But nevertheless, great to see them back at it. Florent Tincescu showing the pace, obviously, that we've seen. But unfortunately, Nicolas van Dierendonck chewing them up on that occasion. 7th place now for van Dierendonck. As we're now taking a look now at John de Wilde. He's trying to close up to Arme Font, and he's doing a great job as well. The gap now down to 1.7 seconds. So de Wilde now looking to get closer. De Wilde did lose time on that last lap. Lost approximately just under 0.3 of a second. Arme Font is certainly a tough cookie. These two fighting for the AM lead of the race. Obviously, as far as the championship's concerned, de Wilde's got it home and hosed as things stand. So there we have it. 4th place, though. I'm sure he would like another podium at this point. 3rd place up for grabs. Obviously, if he can overtake that of Arme Font. Of course, further up, Jan Larisen getting himself clear by 4.6 seconds. And Larisen 3.1 behind Fontana. Fontana's building a very steady gap. He's just gone fastest of all in the first sector as well. Purple on this lap. So Fontana absolutely sending it here in the initial stages.
We take a look at this battle between Milan Delat and Anthony Chodson down the inside into turn 1. This is a fabulous fight between the two GT4 spec cars. 2023, George, it's looking really bright. The 2023 calendar for the GT Cup Championship has been announced, starting at Spa-Francorchamps in May before going to the Hungaroring. Paul Ricard, Monza on the 23rd and 24th of September next year, and then back here in Barcelona in what, 370 days time. 53 weeks away for the series final in next year, and some new cars on the way as well. We just saw Delat in the Cayman GT4, and of course the Supra, the Colt car from the land of the rising sun. We saw the R35 safety car, but there are some new cars on the way, and let's hope we can get some Japanese cars back on the grid. Of course, Nova Race racing with a Honda NSX in the GTOpen class. How good would it be to see a GTOpen GT3 spec car from Toyota back on the grid? Even Lexus in the past, we've had those. And of course Nissan. The Honda's there for the moment, and the Supra joins us for the final round of the championship. Anthony Chodson doing a great job as we go back to this fight. Nicolas van Dierendonck, and behind him Laurent van der Velde and Nicolas van Dierendonck. Tincescu is behind him. The drivers from Romania, the Romanian GT Cup champions. Yes, there are a couple of fantastic racetracks over in the east of Europe. The Transylvania Motoring and the Bucharest Motor Park. As he goes down the inside over the ripple strip. That was a strong, aggressive move from van Dierendonck over Van der Velde. The two drivers who've gone wheel to wheel over the past couple of seasons in the Belcar Series and also in the Zolder 24-hour race rode the ripple strip up the inside, and Nicolas van Dierendonck takes his countryman Laurent van der Velde for position 6. There's the Romanian Florent Tincescu having a good run after a forgettable weekend in Monza over the ripple strip, almost up on the grass, and puts up Van der Velde back into P7. This is Tincescu, a close-up look at this car. It is a work of art as well. Superbly presented, the Eastern European team. Florent Tincescu doing a nice job in position 8, ahead of Julian Durras in the 007 Aston as well. We're not too far away from the driver change window, just 4 minutes plus until the pit stop window opens in the penultimate race of 2022. Alex Fontana has broken into the 149s, everyone else 150 or above. A 49.704. A close-up of Florent Tincescu. That's how good that car looks. Glistening in the sunshine here in Barcelona. The Romanian comes along. The start-finish straight to reel off another lap. Starts lap 8 of the penultimate race of the series. A 49.7 for Fontana, and the championship leader in position 2, Jan Lorison, with a 50.464. Alex Fontana is destroying the field as we approach the opening of the pit stop window. Tim Chescu doing a good job as well behind Laurent van der Velde.
Yeah, we've broken the 4th minute now as we get closer and closer to the driver change. Heading down now towards the final half an hour. Of course, just over 32.5 minutes, just under that in fact now, as we see Florentin Sescu make his way through now, trying to get closer to Van der Velde, who's holding on to that 7th spot. Nicholas van Dierendonck, who's been a man on a mission, obviously after usurping that of Florentin Sescu, heading down into the seat corner. Of course, on that occasion, it would then later be van Dierendonck who would make the key overtake. Now this time, Tinsescu looking to take P7, trying to push for all he can up against that of Laurent van der Velde. He's doing a stern job to try and keep that Porsche, fellow Porsche, in behind him as well, as they now rise up through the Verth curves. As they do so, they have got seat corner coming. Well, they've had seat corner, they're on their way towards Campsa corner now as they come through this next fast-paced right-hander. There is Tinsescu, literally on the limit, trying to allow himself an opportunity to overtake that of Laurent van der Velde. His chance might come now, heading into towards the Lakea bend, and now Laurent van der Velde defending aggressively down the inside, trying to stop and usurp that of Florentin Sescu, who peels on through and manages to get ahead and moves up into 7th place. Van der Velde now down into 8th, further down as well. Julian Darras quite a way back, 17.5 seconds. They've got another car in behind us trying to gain back a place. Obviously, Bashar Mardini, we saw earlier on, trying to fight his way through the field to unlap himself, but an excellently executed move by Florentin Sescu around the Lakea bend just goes to show what a class act he is.
Fabulous pass by the Romanian. We'll try and get a replay of that in just a moment. Up into 7th place now as they come across the line, and we're not far away from the pit stop window opening. Tim Chescu flight in with a couple of starts in the World Rally Championship as well. A rally background for the Romanian, as well as racing GTs in the east of Europe. And look at the gap he's already left on the car behind him that he's just gone by. Laurent van der Velde, only 2 starts in the 2022 championship, the season opener at Paul Ricard and at Monza in the rain last time out. Tim Chescu's already pulled away. That is a lapped car behind Laurent van der Velde. Bashar Mardini, he may not know that. Bashar is much quicker. He'll make the move and drive by, but it won't be for a position. Dives down the inside, tries to pull a lap back. He needs to do that to 8 other cars just to get back on the lead lap.
Well, he's got the overtake done, managed to get ahead now of Van der Velde, and at least gain somewhat of a bit of ground back, but obviously he's still got a whole lap to do it. Currently sits in 14th place, but nevertheless it's 1 down, the rest to go, as we're now seeing the cars make their way through Campsa corner once again. There is Van der Velde, 8th place, obviously after Tinsescu's move. Now 1.5 seconds the difference between the pair. Tinsescu 4.1 in behind Van Dierendonck. Lucas Valkyrie now 5 seconds behind that of John de Wilder, who in turn 2.8 in behind Juan Font. So that gap pretty much stagnant. If anything, it has gone out slightly. Juan Font managing to hold back the tirade that is John de Wilder, our current AM champion. As we're now seeing the two come together, this was the replay of Bashar Mardini. He had to go in deep and aggressive heading through the seat curve just to make sure that he could get the move executed. It certainly didn't seem to me that Laurent van der Velde had any intention of letting him through.
I'm not sure that van der Velde actually knew that Mardini was a lap behind, just running his own race. Incidentally, we are staring from our commentary position at the pit lane entry because the pit lane window is about to open. Before I finish this sentence, as we take a look at Mardini coming up behind and down the inside of Tinsescu on the radio to the Romanian, and the Moroccan picks up another position, still a lap down. Frustrating because he is quick, and now the pit stop window has opened. We are staring at the pit lane exit. The window is open now as we approach half race distance. The graphic in the top left of your screen, the change is now on as he runs very wide on the exit. Bashar Mardini into the Repsol curve, Tinsescu behind, and that gives Laurent van der Velde a little bit of hope as well. On the inside of the Romanian, Bashar Mardini down the inside picks up another one. He'll be a threat tomorrow afternoon. Remember, he qualified position 3, an incident on the opening few corners of this, the penultimate race of the 2022 GT Cup Europe Championship. John de Vilbeck going slow, runs very wide, and Nicholas van Dierendonck down the inside In fact, it was Lucas Valkyrie, apologies. Lucas up into P4, John back to P5. The pit stop window is open as Krista Johns will take over the 88 Audi.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there, Ian. It was Nicholas van Dierendonk who made the move there for P5. So John de Wilde now down into P6 after a little error heading around the seat curve. And then here's the driver change. Bernd Schreibel coming out to the car. Krista Johns now takes the seat, of course. Well, they scored their first win as a partnership in the Thailand Super Series GT60 Endurance. And Krista now, since then, they've come together this time, making a driver change, looking to try and get their way further up the field. Jan Larison as well in the pits. He's going to have his necessary stop. In comes as well, I believe, is that Lucas Valkyrie coming in as well? Yeah, Dirk Schouten will be taking his place as well. Of course, we all know about Dirk's pace. Very, very classy in qualifying this season, of course. Nevertheless, we'll have to wait and see what he can pull together here in this race. More and more cars coming in. John de Wilde in the box as well. Obviously, no driver change necessary for John because he's going to do the whole race. Christopher Zerkling is about to step into the car, and just take a look at this man. Certainly his repertoire is sensational. Porsche Carrera Cup Germany in 2021, competed in 2017, 2015 and 2014 with one win on that occasion, and came fourth in that specific championship. Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup in 2021, and also competed in many other championships as well. This man has done it all, and he's about to step out once again here in the GT Cup Open Championship for the first time since Paul Ricard.
Look at the exaggerated angle that the Q1 Track Racing team have pulled up. Of course, a time stop with the handicaps applied. So they've actually pulled in, particularly the likes of John de Wilde doing the race solo. And they're ready to exit the pit lane on an angle, as though it's a free practice day. As we go back to Alex Fontana, who stays out. As some of the Q1 Track cars, including Jan Lauritsen, exits pit lane at the moment. And he's down in position 8. Alex Fontana leading the race and starts at lap 12 here in Barcelona. Halfway through the penultimate race of the season, locks up down into turn 1. Wow, you saw the Swiss star fight the steering wheel of car 66. Superb skills from Alex Fontana. Holds on to it. Has raced just about everything there is to race over his racing career. As you look at John de Wilde down in position 12, there is the exaggerated angle. John de Wilde, in fact, stepping out of the car. This does not look right. John de Wilde with a problem. Car 56, he's stepping out of the car. A scheduled stop has gone wrong.
Well, there's no driver change necessary for him because he usually rides solo, so I'm not sure why he stepped out, whether it's just for a breather or for some fresh air, or is there something legitimately wrong with the car? We'll have to find out. Still currently in the pits, not quite sure what's happened there, but we will find out, I'm sure, folks.
George, they're pushing the car back into the garage. There is a problem with car 56. John de Wilde, the Q1 Track Racing team, push the 56 Porsche back into the garage. As you look at the 50 Supra down into pit lane. Anthony Chodson, the last few seasons racing in the Italian GT Championship, joining us for the last round of the GT4 Cup. The 25-year-old Pole and the Supra down into pit lane. Oh, a problem for the 55 Porsche of Nicholas van Dierendonk. He stopped out on the circuit.
Dear me, the marshals also having to push him back now.
This is at turn 2. You can just see the runoff exit on the outside of turn 1. Nicholas van Dierendonk. Oh, the left rear, it's gone.
Yeah, puncture. Yeah, big puncture there indeed. The tyre's gone. So a big moment for Nicholas van Dierendonk.
Almost certainly has picked up debris as we look at the race leader, Alex Fontana. Down in pit lane, in car 66. GDL Racing also doing the race solo. We believe. Down into pit lane also goes Wame Font, handing over to Joan Vignes. A couple of drivers with a lot of experience in World Rally and the European Rally Championship, including Joan Vignes, who will take over from Wame Font. And also we just mentioned Florin Tincescu, who's having a great run. I think 3 or 4 starts in the World Rally Championship as well. This is Font down in pit lane, steps out. Vignes, Joan Vignes gets in. Good, strong first stint. The Spanish combination are in position 2. The first 4 are down in pit lane. Sven van Laude steps in and takes over for Lauren van der Velde. Camille Perrien will take over from Florin Timcescu. The Romanian combination from the east of Europe. As we look at car 9, rejoin that is Fabio Fabiani and Stefano Zerbi. Zerbi behind the wheel. Jahid Faisal Karim takes over from Julian Dardis, who's made a great start to the race. The French combination, the 007 Aston Martin. Of course, it's 007 being an Aston. Back to Alex Fontana, who's just rejoined. The 30-year-old Swiss driver who has raced everything. A Formula One test with Lotus about 1 decade ago. The original Lotus team, currently known as Renault Alpine. That team, not the other green and yellow Lotus team. Formula E, Formula 2 as well. Camille Perrien behind the wheel. Super experienced is Alex Fontana, and he's just rejoined still with the race lead over Jan Lauritsen. Start engraving his name on the trophies, boys. He will almost certainly take out the title of GT Cup champion for 2022. The 38-year-old from outside Antwerp in Belgium. A stunning season. He has dominated Jan Lauritsen. But whether he takes the win in the penultimate race and the final race in 24 hours' time here in Barcelona, that's another question. Alex Fontana, a class act, the Swiss-Italian, started kart racing on the Greek island of Rhodes back as a child. The ancient biblical island in Greece. And an esteemed career looking to finish 2022 on a high. Has completed his first compulsory stop. John de Wilde, incidentally, is still stuck down in pit lane. A scheduled pit stop has gone drastically wrong. And it looks as though he is out. The other car which was stuck out on circuit just a few moments ago, Nicolas van Dierendonck, we believe has rejoined with a new Michelin, almost certainly has picked up damage, because these Michelin tyres are almost usually bulletproof, as we've seen throughout the championship, also in the GTOpen championship as well. Fontana on your screen in position 1, Jan Lauritsen, the championship leader, the champion-elect, can we call him that? Almost certainly in 20 minutes' time. In position 2, Vignez, Perrien up into 4th place, the Romanian. What a comeback after a disaster at Monza, where they were packed up by the time we went green for race 2 on Sunday.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't easy for them, but they've come back again now, and they certainly look in fine fettle, to say the least, as we now look at none other than Jan Lauritsen, our current championship leader, obviously trying to look to lay claim to the title. Obviously needs Dirk Schouten to have a rough weekend to do that here, but obviously you'll look ahead to potentially tomorrow to crown himself champion. But as he makes his way down through towards the Firth curves, Fontana with a 10.7 second advantage over that of Jan Lauritsen, who currently sits in 2nd, Johan Vignez in 3rd. Camille Perrien working hard in 4th place too. Dirk Schouten already putting some holes in that deficit too. 3.1 seconds separating Schouten and Camille Perrien, with Sven van Leer there down in 6th as well. Anthony Chodson then the gap behind, with Milan Delat as well in behind him. Not a bad display either from the 007 Aston Martin, managing to get itself up into 9th place. Jahid Faisal Karim stepping into the car. Has got Krista Johns in behind too. Obviously part of that Audi pairing that are being brought together by Aus Motorsport. And Stefano Zerbi, who's in 11th, with Christopher Zirkling trying to close the gap on him as well. Of course, we saw Christopher Zirkling and how dominant he can be behind the wheel back at Paul Ricard. He's got a stiff task ahead of him this time. Of course, Bashar Mardini had the first stint, but unfortunately got spun heading around the first corner, and therefore it was very much a recovery mission. But if there's one man you want behind the wheel in that situation, it's Christopher Zirkling.
We see Camille Perrien under attack from Dirk Schouten, who just drives around the outside. The Romanian, just a few laps into his stint, will be playing it cautious after a rough weekend at Monza, and has gone by Dirk Schouten, now up in a position 4. So take a look at a replay of this move. Camille Perrien just getting behind the wheel. His first race laps, runs off the road, coming down the hill. Schouten around the outside, and one of 6 entries from Q1 Track Racing. He takes the place he's up into position for. Just getting back to the Aston Martin, great to see the variety on the grid in this, the final round of the GT Cup Championship. Of course, the Porsches, they're dominant. Count them all throughout the field. There is another one on your screen. Joan Vignes in position 3. Aston Martin with the 007. The Vantage car, the Toyota Supra that we've already spoken multiple times about. Sorry, George. Sorry, I've already spoken multiple times about.
Yeah.
And also, of course, a couple of Audis in the field for this, the final round of the championship.
Absolutely. Milan Delat currently sat 2.7 seconds now behind Anthony Chodson, trying to bring that gap closer together. Of course, we got further up Fontana. You can see if you're not aware, the Pro-Am and Am categories there, blue and green respectively, but we've got the Trophy Pro-Am as well in light blue and the Trophy Am in gold as well. As we look further down now, you can see certainly the cars coming closer and closer together, that being Milan Delat. Also looking to close up to Chodson. A flash there as well from Fontana. Obviously not keen to have too many back markers in front of him. That's the Aust Motorsport, I believe, the Aust Motorsport car making its way through. It certainly is.
It's Christopher Johns behind the wheel.
Yeah, absolutely. He's certainly going to... Well, just doesn't want to be held up here, Alex Fontana. He's just a little flash here just to let him know that he's there as they now come around the Renault curve, down through towards Repsol now, and Fontana moves on through past that of Krista Johns, who's in 10th place, 8.6 seconds behind that of Jahid Faisal Karim.
To be fair, that is a GT4 spec car. Krista Johns taking a victory with the Phoenix Motorsport team in an Audi GT3 spec car 1 decade ago in the Bathurst 12-hour. Back when that race really started to come of age a few years after it switched to GT3 regulations. Krista Johns in a GT4 spec car, sharing that with Bernd Scheibel, who did a good job in the opening stint this afternoon. The Aust Motorsport car 88, they're also racing in the GT Cup Open Championship here in the final round of the series. Krista Johns knocking on the door. In fact, he's now inside the top 10 as well. Alex Fontana looks good here this afternoon as we move into the final quarter of the penultimate round of the 2022 GT Cup Europe Championship as the sun starts to set here in Barcelona in Catalonia in the northeast of Spain, down through the chicane to complete his 16th lap in this 50-minute race. One more race tomorrow to decide the title, if it does not get decided in the next 15 or so minutes, by Jan Lauritsen, who's still in position 2. There is Faisal Karim Jahid in the Aston 007. As Alex Fontana gets the slipstream, they come racing down the start-finish straight, 257 k's an hour that time. Jan Lauritsen, 11 seconds behind the Swiss driver, the championship leader, 255 k's, interestingly, for him in position 2. Although Fontana did get the slipstream from the Aston, which is physically one of the biggest cars in the world of GT3 racing. Lauritsen has taken victory 7 times already throughout the season, and we go back to Joan Vignes. Great to have him back in the field after a run at Monza, or the Red Bull Ring, a couple of rounds ago. The Spanish combination here in Spain at Circuit de Catalunya. You can see without a tinted visor, the sun is starting to set, and he lifts the right hand to try and shield the glaring sun from his eyes as the shadows get longer here in Barcelona. It is getting very bright. It's been a beautiful day. Would you believe the program was delayed by heavy fog? We could not see the first corner from the pit exit this morning when we went out to qualify. That caused a delay of around about 90 minutes. But the sun has shone beautifully. A top temperature of just under 30 degrees Celsius. As much of the rest of Europe starts to now shiver and get covered in snow. It's on the way. Here in Spain, the rain, well, it's just not falling.
No.
It was foggy this morning. I'm trying to work a cliche there somewhere, George.
It's working wonderfully, Ian. But just looking at Krista Johns has just moved up into 9th spot as well, getting past Faisal Karim for that 9th place. So a great move indeed for him. Milan Delat in 8th place. Obviously, Johns has got 29.1 seconds to try and get closer to that of Milan Delat. Christopher Zirkling also working hard to get further forward, 11th spot, and starting to try and put holes in that time between him and Jahid Faisal Karim in that Aston Martin. Obviously now we're taking our pictures through Kwame Font. There, of course, further up as well is Dirk Schouten, who, of course, has delivered many a great result this season. But incredibly enough, looking at Dirk Schutten's form this season, yet to score a race win, despite the number of pole positions he has managed to accomplish here this season. Remember, he did score pole back at Paul Ricard in Q2, also picked up a win, a pole position in qualifying 2 at Spa as well, and has yet to actually get a race win on the table. Has come second on multiple occasions. Of course, he came second at Spa, also coming second at Hungaroring twice in both race 1 and race 2, but also at race 2 at Monza as well, but never quite able to get that first place. Can they do it before the end of the weekend, Ian?
Unlikely to be this afternoon. He's in position 4 at the moment. And third in the Pro-M category, Joan Vinez, P3 outright and leading the M category. On your screen at the moment, in car 13 is the Spaniard, with the rally background, also a lot of experience in touring cars and GT. Joan Vinez, as Christopher Zirkling just behind.
Alex Fontana currently holding on to that 12.4 second advantage. Now it has increased non-stop against that of Jan Larijsen. Of course, Alex Fontana, very accomplished Blancpain endurance series since 2014. Silver Cup champion overall in sprint and endurance back in 2021 with 5 wins. A China GT4 champion with 4 wins. And a Euro Formula Open champion back in 2011 with 2 wins on that occasion as well. So very accomplished and knows everything around the whole GT sport side of things too. And is certainly delivered once again behind that of a Porsche car here in the GT Cup Open, and is once again coming home to yet another accomplishment for sure. Should he be able to keep this up with just over 11 minutes still to go in this race. Jan Larijsen further back, 12.6 with Vinez in third as well, 25.8 seconds in behind that of Jan Larijsen. Of course, Larijsen also a very capable man behind the wheel of a car. He certainly delivered all season long, and is only a hair's breadth away from winning the championship. He was already a champion back in 2021, where he would go on to take the GT Cup. He was vice champion on that occasion with 3 wins, and also he competed in Bell Car Endurance back in 2021 as well, so knows exactly what to do behind the wheel. As we've now seen, very sloppy indeed there by Kamil Perrin.
I was just going to say, George, this has been a fantastic comeback from the Romanians. It still is. They're in position 5, but Perrin lucky to hang on to that as he comes down the start-finish straight. A slow exit. He's in position 5. Still quick in a straight line, though, 258 k's an hour. So he accelerates again. No tinted visor. Watch the right hand. Will he try and shield his eyes from the setting sun here in Catalonia, in Barcelona, in the northeast of Spain? The dying stages of the penultimate race of 2022. Alex Fontana has got this one comfortably at the moment. The gap is 12 seconds to Jan Larijsen. We have to ask the question if Jan, I'm sure he is, trying to take the victory, or if he's just hoping and settling for the championship here this afternoon. John de Wilde, incidentally, has not rejoined the race. A scheduled pit stop gone horribly wrong, and an issue. We'll try and see if Alfredo Filippone can get down to the team and see what has happened to car 56 of the Belgian driver from the Bell Car Series, racing with us in the GT Cup Europe Championship. Stuck down in pit lane, his race is over. He'll be back tomorrow for the season final here in Barcelona. So the order is Alex Fontana with now less than 10 minutes remaining. 6:30 local time here in Spain. Fontana with a 13-second lead now over Jan Larijsen. Will almost certainly take the championship for 2022. Down into the chicane. Perfect line over the ripple strip. Just kisses it ever so slightly. Does the race leader. Alex Fontana back with us for the season final. Now the shadows as they go up the part of the circuit which will host the World Rallycross Championship here in Barcelona. In just a few weeks' time, Jan Larijsen, the champion-elect, almost certainly. This is lap 20, the penultimate race, race 1 of round 5 of the 2022 championship. The 22-year-old just controls the wheel spin ever so slightly there. Hold on to it, Jan, don't throw it away now. Nicholas van Dierendonk, you can see down in 13th position after that incident a few laps ago. Good drive from both Anthony Chodson and Milan Delat in the GT4 spec cars in the trophy Pro-Am category. They're in 7th and 8th outright, just ahead of Krista Johns. As we mentioned, success down under in the Bathurst 12-hour, and also finishing as the trophy champion in Formula 3 in Germany, back when there was a German Formula 3 championship in 2005. He's in position 9 in car 88. Jan Lauritsen down through the chicane, stays off the ripple strip, off the curbs, which stand proudly very high here in Barcelona, the part of the circuit which was modified after events in Formula 1 in 1994, events that we don't really want to remember fondly. Of course, they raced the Spanish Grand Prix with a very temporary chicane in the aftermath of what happened at Imola on the last day of April, the first day of May in 1994. Before that chicane was added and stayed in place for virtually every category that races here in Barcelona. Of course, MotoGP, the World Superbike Championship, and the Spanish Formula 1 Grand Prix being held here every year since 1991. There is the provisional championship. Jan Lauritsen will win the title if he holds on to position 2 and Dirk Schouten does not improve. The gap is 26 points exactly, which points at a point out of reach for Dirk Schouten and Lucas Valkyrie. John de Wilde, who's parked down in pit lane, still position 3 in the series, yet gets 0 out of the penultimate race here this afternoon. Alex Fontana for GDL Racing, 2 cars for the team here this weekend. Basha Mardini, what could have been for him, he'll have one final attack tomorrow afternoon. Qualified position 3, was in the gravel at the exit of the very first corner of the very first lap. As the lights are now on here in Barcelona. Dirk Schouten not too far behind Joan Vinez. That's actually the battle for 3rd outright. Joan Vinez leading the M category, 2nd in the M category. What a return for Kamil Perrin and Florentin Cescu. Sven van Lore in car 52. Sharing the car with Laurent van der Velde. So it's not over yet for the final step of the outright podium. Just over 5 minutes to race for the penultimate time in 2022. Joan Vinez races down the start-finish straight in position 3, 257 k's an hour. Dirk Schouten just behind, 260 k's an hour for Dirk. Alex Fontana is 11 seconds up the road. Lap 22 they are racing on now, and the battle for the final step of the podium. Jan Lauritsen safe in 2nd place. That will give the Belgian the 2022 GT Cup Europe Championship. But Dirk Schouten has come from a mile back, almost literally 1.6 kilometers. He's come from a long way back, closed right in on the back of the Spaniard. He's right there. Half a second he took out of Joan Vinez last time round, and now the move is on. There's more than enough time. 4.5 minutes equates to approximately, 3 laps here as they climb up the hill, back into the stadium section to host WRX in a couple of weeks' time. And now the part of the track where there is still sun shining. Here's a move down the inside, goes Dirk Schouten. Joan Vinez, there's nothing left. And the Spaniard concedes the place, but Schouten runs off the circuit. Briefly up into P3, but runs wide. Joan Vinez, well, he says thank you very much. And he now gets a 2nd shot. Under brakes, pulls out at the very last moment. Goes in deep, but there's no grip offline. Turns in, but there's nothing there. And Joan Vinez just watches his rival run wide. He was briefly back to 4th, and now he's back into 3rd place. Another attempt as they come across the line out of the final corner. 3 minutes 30 left to race here this afternoon. Alex Fontana, Jan Lauritsen, the champion-elect, and this battle for the final step of the podium. The sun is setting here in Barcelona. Joan Vinez under attack from Dirk Schouten. Ever so briefly, he was up onto the podium. The Dutchman Dirk sharing the car with the Belgian Lucas Valkyrie. The Q1 track racing team on the attack, in force here with 6 cars for the final round of the GT Cup Europe Championship. Into the Repsol curve. Fontana 12 seconds ahead of Jan Lauritsen, and then his battle for 3rd place. Here's another opportunity, but Schouten is too far back. Turns in down the hill. Both driving almost identical cars from Stuttgart. The Porsche 992 GT3 Cup class. Identical specification on paper, different teams, of course. There is Schouten. After a run in the recent Azolda 24-hour race, as we said, the Bell Car series has wrapped up. And the Q1 track racing team joining us for the final round here in Barcelona. We're watching the clock and to see when Alex Fontana will cross the line and how many laps there will still be to race. They've gone around the Barcelona circuit 24 times thus far. Down the hill into the chicane for what we believe may be the penultimate time here this afternoon. The sun is starting to set here in Spain. A beautiful autumnal day. The race delayed, the event delayed by heavy fog this morning, which has burnt off nicely. And we've raced on a dry track in stark contrast to Monza just a couple of weeks ago. They come racing across the line, 260 k's an hour, 262 in fact for Dirk Schouten. Under brakes, down into turn 1, Joan Vignez leading the M category and also trying to hold on to position 3 outright in the penultimate race of the season. Dirk Schouten was briefly up into position 3. His Q1 track racing teammate, Jan Lauritsen, with one hand on the championship trophy. And Alex Fontana looking to take victory in the penultimate race of the season. He's 12 seconds ahead of the Belgian Jan Lauritsen. Dirk has a big look at the back of Joan Vignez. Tighter line from Dirk as they race down the hill. Less than a minute remaining to race. It's a question of when Alex Fontana will cross the line. If we go round one more time, Dirk Schouten would desperately love to get up onto the podium outright. At the moment, he's in position 3 in the Pro-Am category. Lines up Joan Vignez, who's awake to it, dives down the inside, and the Dutchman Dirk up into position 3 this time. Turns in, but there's no grip left. Joan Vignez on the outside, which now he runs out of room. Dirk Schouten holds on and takes the place. Joan Vignez, the Spaniard, on the final lap of the race, back into 4th place. Dirk Schouten, it took 2 attempts, but he's gone through his P3 in Pro-Am, and now his P3 outright. Alex Fontana is on his final lap. Dirk Schouten, you can see he's already got the speed and starting to pull away. Joan Vignez was on the inside, it became the outside. Dirk Schouten just held on, there was no grip offline, but eventually it came back to him. 1, 2, 3 in the Pro-Am category, also 1, 2, 3 outright. And Joan Vignez, heartbreak on the last lap of the race, concedes the place to the Dutchman Dirk. Fantastic camera shots here in Barcelona as the sun sets and we go back to the Swiss driver, the Swiss star Alex Fontana. Pole position this morning in qualifying. GDL Racing with 2 cars here, what could have been for Mardini, who went off into the gravel on the very first lap of the race. He'll be back for the final race of the season tomorrow afternoon. But out front, Alex Fontana from Switzerland, from pole position, accelerates out of the final corner, and the checkered flag is about to wave. Alex Fontana wins here in Barcelona. Welcome back to GT Cup. And coming across the line now is the champion-elect, Jan Lauritsen. We wait as he flashes by and takes the checkered flag in position 2. And with that, we believe that Jan Lauritsen has won the GT Cup Europe Championship for 2022. Dirk Schouten rounds the final few corners in position 3. Sven van Lodde has already crossed the line in 6th place. Joan Finez has dropped off, but the Dutchman Dirk down through the chicane for the final time. Q1 Track Racing arrived here at the circuit with 6 cars. They finished 2nd and 3rd on the podium. Dirk Schouten takes P3 in Pro-Am and P3 outright here this afternoon. Alex Fontana wins the penultimate race of the 2022 championship with a perfect performance the entire weekend here in Barcelona. Fastest lap of the race also, a 1:49.515. Just quickly checking, the only driver, in fact, to go under the 150 bracket. So a half a second faster than every other driver. He wins it by 11 seconds over Jan Lauritsen, who we believe, this is provisional, put a big asterisk beside this statement, but we believe that Jan Lauritsen is the champion. There is confirmation. Jan Lauritsen, congratulations. And the driver from the outskirts of Antwerp in Belgium has won the 2022 GT Cup Europe title. Congratulations also to Q1 Track Racing. Jan Lauritsen missed out on the victory here this afternoon. P2 behind this driver, Alex Fontana, takes the win in the penultimate race of the season. Jan Lauritsen, 2nd place, and that's enough to win the 2022 championship. Valkyrie and Dirk Schouten 3rd from a Spanish combination of Juan Font and Joan Vinez. Petty and Tincescu. Wow, what a return for the Romanians. Van der Velde, Sven van Lodde, Anthony Chodson on debut, the pole in the Supra P7 in a GT4 spec car, mind you. Mardini and Zirkling coming home to 8th. Milan Delat in P9 from Krista Johns, also in a GT4 spec Audi. Faisal Karim, Stefano Zerbi, Nicolas van Dierendonk, with that problem earlier on in the race, dropped him down to the final finisher. But there is confirmation, Jan Lauritsen has won the 2022 GT Cup Europe Championship. 117 points from Dirk Schouten and Lucas Valkyrie. So we will hear from the race winner, Alex Fontana, and also from the new champion, Jan Lauritsen, as we wait for Dirk Schouten to come down into Park Ferme. Here he comes in P3.
La prima curva blocca quasi spegne il motore.
Just hearing from Alex Fontana there, talking with his team, saying he had nothing less left. There is Jan Lauritsen, the new champion. A hard day's work here in Spain. Lucas Valkyrie and Dirk Schouten on the podium here in the Pro-Am category, and also 3rd outright here this afternoon. With that move on Joan Vinez, on the penultimate lap of the race, Dirk Schouten has come home in 3rd place together with his teammate Lucas Valkyrie. Jan Lauritsen, the new champion, driving the race solo P2, and that was enough for the Belgian to take the title. And the Swiss star Alex Fontana wins the penultimate race of 2022. And Alex is down in pit lane with Alfredo.
Alex Fontana, winner of this race 1 at Barcelona. It seemed easy, but we know it's never easy.
No, never easy, definitely. And everybody improved, I believe, compared to qualifying, had a better pace in the race compared to qualifying. So it's never easy. We had a penalty in the pit stop, as many other drivers, some didn't. So I would say it's a good first outing for a long stint to see how the car is behaving.
Well done. Enjoy the success. And we have another man that needs to be congratulated, is Jan Lauritzen, because you are champion, officially, mathematically, the 2022 champion of the GT Cup Open Europe. Are you happy, Jan?
Yeah, I'm really happy because it's really cool because 2 years ago now, that was the first time I stepped in a race car, and now 2 years later I can be the overall champion. It's really cool. I'm very happy.
Great season for you and many wins. Today you just went for the title.
Yeah, today, but Alex was a little bit too fast. I drove a not so good qualification, but yeah, 3, it's not that bad. But the race pace was good, but Alex was, he's a little bit too strong for me. So, but I'm happy.
Well done, prima.
Thank you.
Goed gedaan.
The penultimate race of the 2022 championship got off to a chaotic start. The Kuwaiti Mardini down the inside, trying to make a fantastic start, but only went as far as the gravel. And that brought out the safety car from there. He was quick, but he was a lap down as he was extracted from the gravel. Alex Fontana was in a class of his own, the Swiss driver, as John de Vilde once again, an aggressive, strong ride up through the field. Jan Lauritzen, with one eye on the title, could not match the pace of Alex Fontana. Mardini picked off driver after driver. He was super quick, but a lap down, he was always up against it. Then in the pit stops, John de Vilde's car with a problem, and he would not rejoin the race. The sun started to set a fabulous dice between the GT4 category drivers. Christa Johns in the Audi, Anthony Schodson in the Supra, and Milan Talat in the Cayman GT4 Porsche. Out front, Alex Fontana in a class of his own, and he would take the checkered flag to win the penultimate race of the season by 11 seconds after 26 laps. Second place was enough for the Belgian Jan Lauritzen to win the 2022 GT Cup Europe title. So we'll bring you the podiums from all the categories in just a moment, starting with the outright podium. Position 3 in Pro-Am and position 3 outright. Lucas and Dirk come out onto the podium. P2 in the race, P1 in the championship, Jan Lauritzen. Second, a hard afternoon's work, but the Belgian, it's as good as P1. He'll stand on the second step after today's penultimate race of the season. Alex Fontana, in a class of his own, wins race 1 here in Barcelona.
Racing Team. Ahí está con Claudio Escolari. Claudio, vamos por aquí para recibir, ahí está ese premio GTL Racing. Aquests són els guanyadors. És un equip que ve des de San Marino i, per tant, doncs anem a escoltar l'himne de San Marino.
The Pro-Am podium, also the outright podium. Alex Fontana standing on the top step there with the new champion, Jan Lauritzen.
GT Cup Open Europe. Venga ese aplauso, vamos a remojarlo, ahí está el Champagne Shower.
can see it is already getting very dark here in Barcelona. Only about half an hour, if that, of daylight remaining, probably about 20 minutes. Fabulous sight, the all-new podium. So something constructive did come out of the past 2 years. The new podium, constructed, well, when there was little else to do in 2020 and 21. So that was the Pro-Am podium, also the outright podium as well. Alex Fontana, Jan Lauritsen, Lucas Valkre, and Dirk Shelton.
2 weeks ago, we have been in Czestochowa.
Now proceed with the AM podium. First, second, and third in AM, also finishing fourth, fifth, and sixth outright.
My family, they go, but I don't
Yes,
Yes. I think it was 1 month ago in Thailand. They walk from all across the whole continent.
we look for
Pilgrimage, right? But see, my pilgrimage is to Barcelona this year.
Sixth outright, that was a good drive. And third in the M category, Laurent van der Velde and Sven van Lode from Belgium. And welcome back to the Romanians, Florin Tincescu and Camil Perian. Position 5 outright and second in the M category. Well, the Spaniards may have missed the outright podium, but they take victory in the AM category. Joan Viñez and Wame Font, who started the race in car 13. And a superb fourth outright to win the AM category, the penultimate race of the season. We'll save the champagne for later. I think that's what Camille and Florian were saying. And also the trophy Pro-Am category as well. Featuring 1, 2, and 3 GT4 cars who finished, well, top, the winner finishing at 7th outright. The driver to the left of your screen, the 25-year-old Pole, Dzień dobry, Antoni. P7 outright. So the trophy Pro-Am category finishing in 10th outright and third in the class in a GT4 spec Audi in car 88 for Ost Motorsport. Bernd Scheibel and Krista Johns in third place. Second in the trophy category. Fabulous performance from Milan Delat to take P2 in the Porsche Cayman. On debut, the Colt car wins it and a superb 7th outright. The Supra, the Toyota is back. Anthony Chodson and the Pole takes victory in the GT Cup Trophy Pro-Am category. P7 outright as well, just behind Sven van Lode. And the Pole wins, the Supra wins in the trophy category. A fabulous way to finish the day. The penultimate race of the GT Cup Europe Championship. Jan Lauritsen is the champion, but we'll be back tomorrow to race for the final time in 2022. On behalf of myself, Ian Sylvester, and together with George Morgan, thanks for watching. We'll see you for the final race of 2022, live here from Barcelona tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Bueno, pues en definitiva, muchísimas gracias a Tutón. Hoy han sido 5 carreras, mañana